This link is for fourth grade. It's going along with the story, The Life and Times of an Ant. This is part 2, and where we left off is, of course, page 770 in your Treasures textbook. If you make sure you're on page 770, we're going to go ahead and begin and talk a little bit about a life of work. Now, ants begin their working lives by cleaning themselves. In a couple of days, they start sharing food and licking each other. These food exchange bond the colony together. There is no boss ant, but active ants usually begin doing their chores and then other ants join in. Younger ants work in the nest, tending the queen ant, feeding larvae, and digging tunnels. After a couple of months, the ants leave the nest to search for food. There is no retirement. Worn out or battle scarred ants work until they die. Queen tender. Now young ants help the queen deliver her eggs by grabbing the eggs with their mandibles. And the nurse ant. Ants lick larvae so they don't dry out, and they feed them so they grow. Foragers. The oldest ants search for food. Most foragers search within 50 feet of their nest, but if food is scarce, they may travel thousands of feet. Guard. When ants first leave the nest, they stand near the entrance, blocking strange ants from entering. Tunnel diggers. As the population grows, ants dig more tunnels for the increased traffic and new chambers to store the eggs and larvae. And digging holes can be hard work. To remove a pile of dirt 6 inches high, 6 inches wide, and 6 inches long, it requires 500,000 loads of dirt. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. What details does the author use to describe the various jobs that the ants have? What are some details that the author describes about the ant jobs? Well, the author shows how ants do different kinds of work, and depending on their age. The youngest ants, queen tenders and nurse ants, help the queen and her eggs and the larvae. Guarding the entrance to the nest is the job of the ants when they first leave the nest, and then tunnel diggers make the nest bigger as the population inside grows, and the oldest ants become the foragers who look for food outside the nest. With that being said, we can say queen tenders and nurse ants take care of the queen's eggs and the larvae. You can say here that an ant's first job outside the nest is to be a guard. Tunnel diggers enlarge the nest. And then we can say the oldest ants, which are the foragers, search for food. Okay, let's continue to read. Show me the way. Now every one day, foraging ants patrol the colony's territory. They are not just wandering, they are searching for food, and when an ant finds food, she rushes back to the colony while laying a scent trail, and its scent trail will lead the other ants to the food source. Each forager moves out in different directions. One of the ants discovers a cookie crumb. She investigates it with her antenna, and then she tries to drag it home. But it's too big. So she rushes home to get help. Every couple of steps, she bumps her abdomen to release bumps the abdomen against the ground, and her scent gland releases an invisible vapor, which forms a scent trail. Now back inside the colony, the foragers alert other ants about the cookie by tapping them with her antenna. Suddenly, several ants rush out and follow the scent trail to the food. Each of the new ants harvest part of the cookie and transport it back to the colony while laying a scent trail of their own. Soon the vapors of the scent trail are so thick that many more ants join the harvest, and as they return, the foraging ants share their feast with the ants inside the nest. Within 24 hours, every ant in the colony has tasted the cookie. Now Harlow Shapley, an astronomer whose hobby was ants, tested their speed. He discovered that they run faster on hot days. So, on 78 degrees, they only move 1 inch per second, whereas at 85 degrees, they move at 1 3/8 per second, and at 92 degrees, they move at 1 5/8 inch per second. Tunneling through time. Now, ants evolved from wasps more than 100 million years ago. They have been dodging footsteps ever since. A dinosaur thundering above ground, ants dug out a home below, and the mighty dinosaurs are long gone, but the little ants have survived. Today, myrmecologists search for the secrets of the ant's long existence and how those traits may benefit our society. They study ant fossils in prehistoric amber and observe the daily habits of our ant colonies. Now, in BC, ants dug tunnels under dinosaurs. 9 million BC, 2 ants were sealed in amber. Millions of years later, the amber was found in New Jersey. 65 million BC, some scientists think a giant meteorite crashed into Earth, killing the dinosaurs. But ants which could hide underground survived the disaster. 2000 BC, aborigines in Australia ate the honey of honeypot ants. Their modern descendants call these sweet ants Yarunta. 400 BC, Herodotus, a Greek historian, wrote about ants that mined gold. Today, some miners sift through ant hills to learn what minerals lie underground. 1500s to 1800s, when Europeans conquered the Caribbean islands, their forts were frequently invaded by ants. They offered rewards and prayed to Saint Saturn to stop the six-legged armies. 1200-1300 Chinese farmers used ants to keep their orange trees free of insect pests. 1687, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, who invented the microscope, discovered ant eggs and pupa. 1859, the biologist Charles Darwin wrote about an ant intelligence and teamwork in his classic work, The Origin of Species. 1880, Germany passed a law protecting wood ant because they kept trees free of pests. 1890s through the 1930s, William Wheeler, one of the Americans' first myrmecologists, traveled around the world collecting ants and ant fossils. 1991, Bert Hellenberg and Edward O. Wilson, 2 myrmecologists, won the Pulitzer Prize for their book, The Ants. In the year 2000, a scientist applied ant behavior as a model for computer networks. Computer systems based on ant behavior rerouted around the problems quicker than previous systems did. Now the tunnel of time continues for ants. Their hard work inspires people today, and it has for many centuries. Look down on a warm day and you'll probably find an ant. Drop a piece of food, and an ant will probably find you. Okay, with that being said, how does the structure of the text help you go back and find information you may want to reread? How does the structure of the text help you go back and find information you may want to reread? While the topics are easy to find because the headings are printed differently from each other and from the rest of the text. Also, if I want to find a particular topic quickly, I can look at the pages to see how the text is arranged within boxes or inside drawings. I can even use the drawings to find topics I am especially interested in. For example, the anthill or the structure of the ant's nest. Okay, now with that being said, that goes ahead and concludes this link. If you have further questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me.